Hey, it's Brad Galley from WXYZ Channel 7. I work in the sports department. Everything is always moving at such a crazy pace now. As a dad of two, I have had to learn. Put the phone down. It can wait until you get home. It can wait till the red light. It's tough. I know it. You want to check Twitter. You want to check Instagram. You want to check Snapchat. You want to check what the Ramblers did last night in the big basketball game. But you got to wait until you get home. Have a good day, everybody.
Hello, all you sports fans out there, and welcome back to the Hot Seat Sports Talk. And this week, we are honored to have KC Lopata back with us again. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me back on the hot seat.
No problem. We're glad you're
We're
back
excited.
again for the
We're very
second time. So, almost, a year to the day, almost exact, but we're glad to have you back. So let's get into it. Lots happened in the past week.
Yes.
It has. So let's go format offense Detroit edition, because there's a lot of Detroit stuff that's happening. Opening night of the NFL draft. First three picks are easily predictable. And, Kyler Murray to Arizona, Nick Bosa, San Fran, Quentin Williams, New York. And then, once he got down to New York, things started to get a little bit weird. The Giants took Daniel Jones out of Duke. Casey, what's your thought on the Giants reaching for Daniel Jones early?
In the discussion I heard last night watching the draft, it just sounded like they had apparently picked him as their guy. The owner of the Giants, I heard, attended the only meeting that he attended was with Daniel Jones. So it seems like they really just had him targeted the whole time. From an outsider's perspective, it seems like a bit of a reach, but time will tell if it works out or not for the Giants.
Then Josh Allen from Kentucky slipped to Jacksonville, and the Lions take a tight end at number 8.
I called it on camera. We have proof, so nobody can at me. I said that.
This is a bit. It's not bad. It's not what I was hoping for because Ed Oliver went next to Buffalo. I just wish we'd have taken Ed Oliver because put Ed Oliver, Snacks, and Trey Flowers together on one line, it'd be a pretty good defensive line. So.
Pretty sure they're gonna meet that problem throughout the rest of the draft. Hopefully, if they don't draft any defensive players, well, we're screwed.
Well, I think they're going to draft a few.
Yeah, I think they're going to address that problem.
Detroit's good at running back. They're good at receiver. They could draft if DJ Metcalf's available in the second round. Yes, take him.
Jesus, DK Metcalf's a good wide receiver.
He's built.
He's just injury prone. That's it. But
and I heard he has catching problems too and fumbling problems.
Oh.
So your thoughts for the Lions the rest of the way?
Well, before we even get into the rest of the way, I got to give my 2 cents on the Hockenson pick. It just seemed like leading up to the entire draft that the entire Detroit sports community was resolute in anything but a tight end. So in hindsight, of course, it makes perfect sense that the Lions draft the tight end.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I'm on the same page with you guys. It seems like the Lions just have a lot of glaring needs on the defensive side of the ball as well. The good news is this draft seems to have a lot of talent defensively. So if we can pick up a few gems that are able to contribute immediately next year, any given Sunday, right? Like who knows what can happen, and if Stafford is able to perform the way he has at times consistently throughout the year, hopefully the Lions can make something happen and it could be an exciting fall.
Yeah,
Well, we all be very excited.
we hope that Stafford and his wife and his family are okay because Kelly Stafford's back in the hospital again. So we just hope that Matthews and Kelly and all the kids are going to be fine. And the Lions told Stafford, take all the time you need, and after her first procedure last week, and he was back in the following week. So this goes to show he wants to win. I think he knows his time's going to be shorter here if he doesn't perform well. So our thoughts and prayers are to the Staffords. And Steve Eiserman's back.
Oh yeah.
As the general manager of the Wings, and Chris Draper's in the front office with him, and Fedorov is back too. Working with Eiserman. So, your thoughts?
I like that he's back. From what I've seen, kind of in highlight reels, never really watched him. Retired a while ago.
Like YouTube.
Yeah,
But
Great player. I like what he does. I like the atmosphere that Detroit kind of built around
Him
that
coming home.
era of Detroit.
And,
Yeah.
and him
And
coming home now.
yeah, coming back.
Well, look at the way that he took the Tampa Bay Lightning and just constructed a very well-oiled machine until this year, until they got swept, which we talked about last week. But I think he can, in 2-3 years' time, the Red Wings will be a Stanley Cup contender again. So,
Yeah. I mean, he, at this point, you know, he has such a proven track record of being, I mean, arguably the best GM in hockey over the last close to, what, a decade now? Close to
Yeah.
it. Hopefully he does it again in Detroit. And we were talking a little bit before the show, I know, guys, not having quite had the chance to see him play growing up, but
Yeah.
I'm of a slightly older generation, so having the captain return, you know, after so many years of my, you know, childhood growing up and watching him and some incredible Wings teams, it's truly exciting and a much-needed bit of good Detroit sports news in this difficult period that I think we're in right now.
yeah.
We definitely are in a difficult period of sports right now.
Which brings us to our next team, the Pistons. As we predicted, they got swept.
Yeah.
And Blake Griffin underwent knee surgery following 2 days after we lost in Game 4. The guy played on one leg basically the last game of the
And he
year.
played really well, especially in the playoffs. Those 2 games he played, we sucked, but he played well.
I hope he rebounds well. They said he's going to be ready for next year. You know, that's your guy. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it kind of happens. It's an injury's an injury as long as he takes the time to get better and he's not straining it or putting too much stress on it. He'll be back next year.
Yeah, I just hope the Pistons rebuild in free agency through guards rather
definitely
than
need to
big men
rebuild.
because our guard play is terrible. We saw it all year. Reggie Jackson and Luke Kennard, they're just not there. Something's not there with our guards. Our big men are fine. If we can just get a good free agency, maybe we get Kemba Walker.
If anything, we
something.
need defense. That's what we
Yeah.
need.
Well, Kemba Walker's a good defender. There's no doubt. But we need to land a guard like that free agency that can help turn the tide, get Detroit higher seed in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, I mean, in my opinion, he has been one of the few bright spots on the Pistons organization. True Warrior seems to really just embody the type of athlete that we here in Metro Detroit so embrace, that like gritty, leave it all on the floor kind of guy. Definitely have some concerns about a lot of the rest of the roster. It seems like we got a few guys who should be leaders that are very inconsistent with their play. Still young players, but you know, Blake is not getting any younger, and unfortunately, you know, it's not his first injury, and you know, I hope he can make a quick and full recovery, and this team can pick up a few good pieces in order to complement him, because when he's at the top of his game and the rest of the guys are playing well, you know, this team has proven they can actually play some good basketball and might be able to make some fun noise going into next year.
Yeah, I mean, at times, like you said, they played well in stretches, and then towards the end they lost like 15 out of their last 17, and they went from being a 6 seed to barely making it.
Oof.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens with them. And you mentioned Warrior. Speaking of the Warriors, they're struggling a little bit. I know you're pretty excited with your
Yeah.
Clippers. Portland won. They took care of Oklahoma City.
Yes,
Four
they
games
did.
4-1. Damian Lillard, come on, that shot was unbelievable. That was a great shot. So Portland's looking like, you know, they can actually contend for this title this year.
Even with the injury to Jurkic, right?
Yeah.
That looked horrible, and I thought that was going to
Just ruin their season.
but Cantor stepping up, Damon C.J. McCollum stepping up, then they have a few role players on the bench. I mean, they're looking good. You just got to keep contending.
Yeah. You know, Portland looks good. Boston swept Indiana,
Yes, they did.
and Milwaukee swept Detroit. So this is going to set up a very interesting semifinal between those two.
Oh, I think the East is looking powerful right now.
I don't know. It's tough to see this through, but I really see Milwaukee taking this in about 6 games. I like Milwaukee. I like the way Giannis is playing. I like the way their guards are playing as well, spreading the floor, and just Giannis just taking over games. You saw the way he played against Detroit. He just took over
He's
games.
an animal.
He's going to be the MVP.
Oh, I
There's
think
no
so
doubt.
too.
So, your thoughts on Boston and Milwaukee as we get set up here for the semi?
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it perfectly, Aaron. Giannis is on a different level than these guys. You know, hypothetically, it would have been incredible if we could have seen Blake Griffin in his prime and healthy trying to square up against him.
Oh.
That would be a fun matchup to watch. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
that's
he kind
only
of got banged up a
hypothetical.
little bit, but yeah. But then the second semi, Philadelphia, after a scrappy series with the Nets, are
Let's
playing
play
Toronto.
Yes.
Toronto, you know, they took care of Orlando quietly. Not much headlining with them except their loss in Game 1, obviously. But in terms of this, I really think Toronto's going to take this and go to the Eastern Conference Finals again. I don't know how many games. It's too tough to say. 2 and a 3 seed. It's hard. What do you think?
I want to see the Bucks and the 76ers again. I like watching Ben Simmons and Giannis go back and forth.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Milwaukee can meet the level of like scrappy play that Philly plays with, because they're rough and tough, and Philly's it's a tough sport. You know, they're a tough team in the NBA, and they're a tough sports city in general.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Eagles and all them. So, but yeah. So who do you like in this series?
You know, I think Philly-Toronto, it's a toss-up. If I had to pick one, just going with my gut, I'm going to say it's going to be Philly in a tight 6
Wow.
games.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
I think it's going to be Milwaukee coming out of the other semi, and you know, probably Milwaukee coming out of the conference. I mean, Giannis just
Yeah.
looks like he's
Yeah.
on a mission right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian?
I mean, Toronto's great defensively, and I think they have one of the best benches in the NBA, especially with like a player like Pascal Siakam. I don't know if you guys know too much about him, but watching him the whole season, he is literally most likely, sometimes that's a lot of words, the best player on the court. Basically, he just has
Wow.
all-around talent, just great offensively, defensively, knows how to make a basket when he needs to, but I feel like Philadelphia has more just raw talent around them. And
Yeah.
I feel like with your scrappiness, like you just said, I feel like Philadelphia could win that series. And then Milwaukee beating Boston, and then, like you said, just they're on a mission. Milwaukee, I think, will
Come out of the
represent
conference.
the East.
Mm-hmm.
Then going over to the West, Houston takes care of Utah in 5 quick
That was
points.
pretty entertaining, though,
Yeah,
seeing
and
all
so-
that happen.
We have 2 series left that still don't have a winner. One, Golden State and Los Angeles. Tonight is Game 6 at LA. I like LA winning this one. Make it an interesting Game 7 going back to Oracle, because LA's won twice at Oracle this series. They haven't won at home, so I think their home crowd's gonna help them out, push them, and they're gonna even this series up tonight. Eric, your Clippers.
I want them to get it, and I can see it happening. I don't think it's going to happen tonight.
Wow.
I want it really
Oh,
bad.
yeah. I know you
Because,
do.
I mean, it would be amazing for an 8 to beat a 1, especially Clippers and Golden State.
Exactly, yeah, the defending champ. Yeah.
But Golden State's going to close it out.
KC?
I'm with Eric on this one. I think Golden State is going to rally the troops, give their best effort, close it out, and, you know, hopefully for them get refocused for the next round.
Oh, yeah. Because if they win, it'll be a very interesting Houston series. Very interesting. Very interesting. Brian, real quick.
I mean, Golden State, I feel like they've had like enough of this. They're ready just to move on. I think they're going to get it in their heads that they need to win and stop fooling around. I think Golden
Were
State's
they
going
up
to
3-1 at one point?
Yes, they were.
Were they?
So there's
I
a
don't think
chance they
they
could
were.
blow a 3-1 lead
So
for
the
the second
Clippers
time in
came
4
back
years.
from being down
Yeah,
31
were.
points.
Yes. To win that game,
They
then-
won that,
and then won the next one.
and then Golden State ended up being up 3-1.
Yep.
So 3-1 together, not good for them at all.
It's a bad number for that team. So, and then a series that I can't stop stressing enough over. Denver and San Antonio is going game 7 tomorrow night. In Denver, it's a seesaw between these two. It's either Denver, San Antonio, it just seesaws back and forth. Denver's been, at some point, inconsistent. So have the Spurs. You know, DeMar's been playing great. Derek White, at times, is playing great. You know, especially the game where he had 36 that one night. And just the way that San Antonio played the other night, that's the team I want to see tomorrow night. Beat Denver and go play Portland in a tough series
They played
next
Houston.
round. No, they would play Portland. They play Portland. So,
Oh.
yeah. So So I just hope they can do it. I want it so bad, just like Eric wants his Clippers. I want this so bad for my Spurs. KC, this game 7, winner takes all.
I think you'll be happy with my prediction at least. I think Popovich, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. I think he's going to get the team focused, and I think they're going to shock the world here and knock off the 2 seed Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's question time.
Question time.
Question time.
Oh boy.
Question
Get ready.
time.
Brian, lead us off.
Oh man. Well, last time we were here, it was a while ago. So, what have you been up to?
Aaron knows this. This is how we know each other. I coach kickers and punters, and I also work in education. So, in terms of work, I would consider myself an educator and a coach. And, in my free time, I'm a big fitness guy, so I love going on runs with my dogs and doing a lot of calisthenics type activities. So, trying to stay active. Trying to stay busy, and besides that, just reading a lot of books and finally back into Game of Thrones, but no episode 2 spoilers for me. I'm only on episode 1 so far, the final
All right.
season.
Tell us what your trip to Germany was like.
Oh, yeah.
Where did you go and what did you do there?
Yeah, so my father is actually from Germany. And took some German in high school and have been trying to learn it on my own now for the last couple of years. So I actually flew over to Paris because I have a cousin and her husband who live there. And my cousin and I took a short trip to Cologne, Germany, just a few hours across the border. And this was during Cologne's big carnival celebration. Not quite the main carnival celebration, which happens the last 3 days before Ash Wednesday. But the weekend before that. And we really just toured Cologne, did a lot of just fun sightseeing there along the Rhine. I got to practice some of my German, and then we went back to Paris for a few more days and saw that beautiful city. So it's an incredible time. I recommend everyone try and get over there if you have the chance.
Almost definitely.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So, what made you want to start your own coaching business for kickers and other special team players?
Yeah, so I played football obviously and kicked for the University of Michigan and did my education as a physical education teacher, and have some other friends who coach kicking and punting, and I would help them out with their own camps and whatnot. And it just kind of dawned on me one day after helping out at a friend of mine's camp, and I'd had some of the players at that camp approach me and say, hey, do you coach outside of these as well? And kind of just figured, hey, I'm an educator by trade. I was trained and taught for a year as a physical education teacher, and just figured be the perfect opportunity to try and give back to the next generation of young kickers and punters, guys like Aaron over here, and it's been a truly great experience. We here in the state of Michigan have really produced just a tremendous amount of excellent specialists, and we have far outpunched our weight in special teams, in my opinion, in producing really good talent out of high school, and just the level of skill that these players have nowadays just truly impresses me. So it's a testament to young guys like Aaron, who I watched over a course of a few years come like a tremendously far way, and it's such a great just like honor to be able to coach and to give back and to be involved in the next generation.
Wow.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Now, were there any difficulties getting this business off the ground? And if there was there any classes going back to U of M that help you prepared for these difficulties with your business?
So I'll answer the first part first. So in terms of difficulty, I think like any new venture, right?
Always has one.
That, at least for me, I had never ran my own business. There's always that hesitation of like, can I do this? What happens if it fails? And what I would tell you and really anyone who would be considering to start is, there comes a time where you just have to kind of jump in with 2 feet and go for it. And you put your best plan together before that, and so you can obviously give yourself the best chance of success. But like with anything, nothing ventured, nothing gained. In terms of classes that prepared me, being a physical education teacher at U of M and having that great education in terms of how to structure lessons and how to approach students and athletes, that helped me tremendously in terms of how to set up and structure the way we actually train at my sessions, as well as just meeting with the players on their own level and trying to break down the skills in ways that they can understand. So those helped me tremendously. And then obviously just having the opportunity to play football at U of M for 5 years and seeing the way our coaches and overall staff just approached every day with like incredible focus, incredible energy, and incredible professionalism, just gave me a real look at what it takes to reach some of the highest levels in the sport.
So what was the selection process like when you chose the assistant coaches or other staff?
So I've been really fortunate during my years of coaching. I've had a few different assistants. A few years ago, I used to have a good friend of mine who I actually grew up playing soccer with, a guy named Chris Callias, who lived in the area, who helped me out for many clinics over several years. He unfortunately, for me at least, moved to Texas. He's doing very well down there. But at the same time that happened, I had reconnected with a guy who I had actually coached once upon a time, Dylan Mulder, 4-year starting place kicker from Eastern Michigan University. Great guy, had a really excellent career at Eastern, and myself and I think most importantly my players have been tremendously fortunate that Dylan has been a really consistent coach who can be there almost every weekend to help out, gets to know the players extremely well, and brings a tremendous amount of just like knowledge, both practical in terms of having done it and coaching wise, now that he's been coaching as well for several years to every session. So I would say I've been very fortunate to just know the right people, and from there, try and pay attention to who are the guys who seem to really take their time to break it down for the players and give their best every time they're stepping on the field to coach.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan was, excellent coach for me, and he was a great person, and just a great guy to get to know over the time that I got to work with him. So, That's cool. And last time you were here, you talked about some of the many experiences you had playing at Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
So let's backtrack. Where did you go to high school?
So I grew up not too far from here, Metro Detroit, so I went to Farmington High School.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the perennial, now shuttered high school, Farmington Hills Harrison.
Yep.
You know, Farmington, we had some pretty good seasons, but unfortunately, we never hoisted the trophy like Harrison did many times.
Now, like you said, you played football, obviously, in high school.
Yep.
Did you play any other sports in high school, or was football your main sport?
So, like most kickers and punters, I grew up playing soccer as my
Okay.
main sport. And my brother, who is 3 years older than me, he went actually to the University of Michigan and played soccer there for 4 years on the varsity team. So, for a long time, my high school career, it was always my vision and my dream that I was going to follow him to U of M, play with him for another year because we had gotten 1 year playing together on the varsity team at Farmington. Made it all the way to the state semifinals before a heartbreaking loss there. But then late in my sophomore year, I had a really bad ankle injury playing soccer for my club team. And as a young athlete, I didn't know how to handle injuries well, and unfortunately, I also didn't really have anyone around me giving me, proper treatment and medical advice. So I kept trying to play on this ankle injury, never allowing it to heal, and I guess you could say I just got like really out of shape. Didn't heal up for a long time, and as my soccer career went down, I thankfully simultaneously discovered kicking footballs, and this unfortunate injury ended up having a very fortunate turn of events where I, discovered that I was, pretty decent at kicking footballs and was able to play for a couple years on my varsity high school team, and after my senior season, got the opportunity to walk on at the University of Michigan. So in the end, I really couldn't have been much happier.
Being a walk-on at Michigan, what was the process like going through that?
Yeah, so, to speak about my process, because I know it differs for some guys, is I was late in the game with my recruiting, first and foremost. So I didn't even start sending out highlight tapes and letters to college coaches until sometime after my senior season was done. So if any young athletes are out there listening, I highly recommend getting a jump on the recruiting process long before what I did. And basically I made countless highlight tapes, wrote endless amounts of letters to basically every university I had any interest at all in going to. And when I was very close to committing as a preferred walk-on to Western Michigan, one evening I got a telephone call from a 734 number, and I answer it, and it was Coach Debo, Coach DeBoard, Mike DeBoard, who was at that time U of M's special teams and recruiting coordinator. And growing up as a lifelong Michigan fan, it was quite literally, my dream to kick footballs there. Even before I actually kicked footballs, I would go down in my basement, watch Michigan football on Saturdays, and kick little stuffed footballs through makeshift uprights downstairs. And Coach DeBoard said, hey, we don't have a scholarship to offer you. However, if you are interested in being a preferred walk-on, we can help you out with that process. And, fortunately for me, I was given that opportunity, and I had the family support where we were able to make that happen. And, it was a dream come true.
Now, we asked this question to all the college athletes that come on the show because, quite frankly, we get a different answer every time.
Yep.
So now we're going to ask you. When you were traveling to different games when you attended U of M, what was the travel like? And on the road, did you get like special tutors to help you like catch up on your studies, or what was all that like?
We traveled pretty comfortably with the Michigan football team. So the only games we actually drove to were we would take a chartered bus to Michigan State, and we'd still leave, the Friday morning or Friday afternoon before the game and stay up at a hotel in East Lansing. And then the only other one we would take a bus to, and I was told that this was purely out of tradition, because we would actually fly to games that were about as far, would be Columbus, Ohio. And the same thing is, we drive down there the Friday morning before and stay, obviously, in a hotel. Everything else, including Northwestern, Wisconsin, all the other places we went to, we'd take a 30-minute flight. We're going to Northwestern, where basically you get up in the air, you cruise for about 2 minutes, and then you're already on your descent. And I think every single plane trip we took, always chartered, so you just roll on up, go through security, just walk right out onto the tarmac, climb up on board. We'd get more food than you could ever eat, and it was a lot more comfortable than many of the Spirit airline flights I've taken in the years since. So they really took care of us, and made it a very comfortable and just truly amazing experience as a student athlete.
Wow. So what was your most memorable college experience on and off of the football field? As high school students, we're almost done, we're graduating. Kind of, what do we have to look forward to?
Well, you guys have a lot to look forward to. I, first and foremost, just wish you nothing but the best with your college experiences. And it should be a time where you get to not only, grow as humans and students, but really make some just like relationships that, if you're fortunate enough, will last you the rest of your lifetime. And those relationships with friends, as well as, many future colleagues, because that's where so many just connections in the business world are made. In terms of my own fondest memories, I'm gonna give you guys two, one general and one specific. So the specific one, without a doubt, was the January 1st, 2008 Capital One Bowl. Coach Carr's last game ever. We were going up against the defending national champions, Florida Gators, coached by Urban Meyer, quarterbacked by Tim Tebow the year he won his Heisman, and we were massive underdogs. And our team had entered that season as, I think, preseason ranked, number like 4 in the nation. And that was the year we had started against, the infamous Appalachian State game. And, we had our backs up against the wall as a team. And to Coach Carr's credit, he, after the Appalachian State game, and then the next week playing an incredible Oregon team, coming out to an 0-2 start, Coach Carr, circled the wagons, got everyone refocused. Still fell a little short, unfortunately, at the Big Ten championship, but went into that Florida game, playing at the Capital One Bowl, as big underdogs, but we came out and walloped them, showed everything that I think we all knew we had the entire season, that unfortunately for various reasons we didn't put on the field enough, but it gave us a heck of a win, our first bowl win in I want to say it was 6 or 7 years at that time, something around that. and got to carry Coach Carr off the field victoriously, the way he darn well deserved to finish his career. So that was definitely the sports highlight of my college career. And then the other one, though, also sports related, since we're on the sports hot seat here. More general is just the workouts with the teammates. So I love working out, and looking back on my first 4 years at Michigan, getting to go in to Mike Gittleson's weight room, Mike Gittleson being our longtime legendary strength and conditioning coach, and being able to just push yourself at and beyond limits that you ever thought you could do physically, and have such a fun struggle with about 100 other good friends all working towards just one common goal to be as good of a team as possible is something that when it's gone, you realize how special of a moment that is. And there's not too many times in life where such a big and diverse group of people come together and truly give absolutely everything they possibly can every day to work towards one common thing.
All right, Brian?
What were your thoughts on Michigan football this season? And in your opinion, do you think anything needs to change for next season?
Oh man, yeah, this season, a lot of highs and unfortunately a couple lows with that one. So, the way that year ended, I'm still, I guess the best way to put it is just really baffled by it. I knew Ohio State was really good. I knew they certainly could beat us, but never in my life did I think that game was going to go the way it did. So I think everyone, especially those guys who are there in Schembechler Hall right now working, would agree that something's got to change. As to exactly what, this is one of the few times I'm scratching my head a little bit, because I look back and I go, I still think our defense was incredible. But to Ohio State's credit, they seem to have just found a way to highlight that really elite defense's weaknesses. And they just, with a great quarterback and Dwayne Haskins, just picked us apart all day long. But looking ahead, I'm always an optimist, and I think returning Patterson and a large part of that offense, and bringing back Don Brown and his staff on defense, I am ready for this team to make noise and to end our Big Ten champions streak this fall. So. You heard it here first, boys.
Yeah.
I'm calling it. Michigan, we're bringing home the ship this year.
Yeah, and real quick, before we go, your thoughts on Michigan basketball as we wrap this up, as well as Michigan State as well this past season.
Well, Michigan basketball, Coach Beeline and his staff have, other than winning a national championship, I don't know what more any realistic fan base can actually hope for. Looking back from what that program was before he got there to where it is now, I could not be more proud of the way they conduct themselves off and on the court. Obviously, they didn't win, they didn't accomplish all their goals winning a Big Ten or getting as far as they would have liked in the NCAA, but that's a program that has at this point proven themselves to be a team that we know come next year they're going to be there. They're going to be fighting for it, and they're going to be competitive with any team in the nation.
And they'll be competitive with state as well. Getting Cassius Winston back, losing Nick Ward, but getting a couple 5-star recruits, 4 or 5 stars. It's going to be interesting to see. If I highly doubt we're ever going to see Michigan State game at the end of the regular season for a Big Ten championship, but it'll be something to see. It'll be something to see.
Yes.
So, and that does it for this. Casey, thank you for coming back again.
Thank you very much.
We love having you here, and it was awesome having you here second time.
Truly my honor, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
And apologies to Sam Martin back there. We ran out of time. Just a running joke that we've had with them for a couple seasons. Maybe one day we'll have you on. I don't know. We'll see. So, and that's it. You guys, good show. And 5 more to go until we are done with this show. And Casey, thank you so much again for coming in. And we'll be back next week. And as always, keep it fresh.